Okay, let's see. Make sure everything's up and running here. Okay, so it looks like there's no one in the stream yet, which is actually okay because I wanted to do this series so it's both streamed and recorded, which is kind of nice for everybody. And so since there's no one in the stream, I could do a nice intro here and it won't bother the people in the stream. Okay, so this is the first video in my series here where I'm going to be doing track from scratch, which a lot of people have been asking for, and essentially I'm gonna go from beginning to end, an entire track, nothing planned beforehand, and I'm gonna kind of present it in a way where I don't really assume you know that much about Logic Pro, so that people like just getting started and just like wanting to make their first track aren't lost and just completely left behind because I'm just producing. So this isn't just going to be a series on me producing. This is actually going to be a series that is me producing and explaining what's going on. So that's what track from scratch is going to be. I am going to use some things that Logic does not have, but primarily it's going to be samples because I don't like the built-in samples that Logic has. I have put a link in the description there. You could click it and it's this video that I basically compiled that has a whole bunch of links to tons of samples you could download. And you could use those for your productions. And they're all royalty free, so you don't have to worry about that. And it'll give you a whole bunch of things to work with. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So I'm going to start a new project, everything fresh, nothing pre-made here. Just do empty project, and then we're going to create a software instrument. If the details pane is not down here, then don't worry about that. We just want the software instrument selected, and then hit create. And boom, now we have a software instrument, and we're going to start keying in notes here. I'm going to click this button here, which will close the library pane because we don't need that right now. It'll just give us some more space. So one of the things that also pops up when you do a new thing here is, oh my goodness, the terrible screen tearing. I don't know if I could fix that. Ugh, that's bad. So anyway, we have this musical typing, which is what I'm going to use because I actually don't have my MIDI controller on hand. One second here, let me scroll down so I could see the chat in case people chat. And let's go back to Logic here. Okay, so this musical typing is, as long as this window is open here, it allows us to hit keys on our keyboard and play music. We're just going to use this to kind of draft out some ideas for something to do here musically to start our track, because one of the first things you probably want to start with is an idea. So that sounds kind of like obvious at first, but if you just drop into a track and you have no idea what you're going to make, you're just like, you know what, I want to make a track today. It's going to be really hard. And the reason I find that it's really hard is because I need some sort of direction for the track. So I believe I had a simple chord progression I was working on here. Let's see if I could figure out where it was. So that's kind of what I wanted to start with, because those two chords I was just kind of messing around. I'm like, you know what, I'd like to do something that kind of follows the tone of these two chords here. And then from there, we'll kind of work and expand on the idea. So you can tell that this track, kind of how it is it's going to be a more kind of mellow, eerie sounding track. So that's what I'm aiming for right off the bat, and that's going to be kind of the premise for my track. And if you keep that in mind whenever you're building a track, then it'll kind of give you a direction to go, and you won't get as lost in your production. So that's a very good tip that you should try to remember. If you always feel like your tracks are just kind of like meh, and you don't really ever go in with a plan for like the style and the sort of sound you're gonna go with, it's a good thing to kind of follow. So choose an idea, choose some sort of thing you're gonna start off with, and continue and keep that idea in mind as you're producing. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and get started here. I am going to create a empty MIDI region. I'm just gonna key in these notes that I was showing you here. So it was this one. So this would be D, G, and B, I believe. Yeah, D, G, and nope, that's D, G, and A. No, D, F, and A. What am I talking about? So that was like a really embarrassing moment for me there, where because I'm not too familiar with layouts of keyboards and the note names. I just musically do what sounds good. So double click on this to bring up this window here, and this is where we're going to key in notes. So it's just a basic grid. You notice we have our playhead here, and it's just gonna, as it hits the notes, it's gonna play them. So I'm gonna do a really basic spacing here. First, let me drag this out to give us some more room to work with. So we're gonna start with D, and so I'm gonna right click and hit create note, and then I'll create a note there. I'll drag it over here, and we're gonna just drag it out to be that long. Sweet. And then from now on, for the rest of the notes, I'm just gonna hold Control, which I believe actually for you guys would be Command. So apologize. But it's going to be Command there, and then we're going to add the rest of the notes here. So there's a note here, I believe, and then one here. So it's going to be, the first chord, and the second chord is going to be here. So we're going to take these two and drag them up by, that one's going to go up by 1, this one's going to go up by 2. So what I was just doing is, once again, if you look at these here, you can see that when it plays, this is what I was playing. Actually, there we go. See it up here. So again, let me loop this. Click this here and drag it down. And then I kind of have an idea for what to do for the next chord. So what we're going to try to do is see if we can move this down one. And the whole idea that I'm working off right now is I have a chord, and so I have these two chords I kind of just initially came up with. That was my kind of inspiration that I started with. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of listen what would sound right. So if I listen here to these two, do, so we're going to go down then. Da, da, do. So, let's see. We'll try putting this here. Right now I'm just kind of dropping in notes. So, you know, it may seem like I have no idea what I'm doing. That is to some degree true, but at the same time, I have some of a plan. So I'm just moving stuff down now. You'll notice that the highest note is lower than the highest notes on the next two ones. So that's kind of just what I'm doing. I'm doing a little bit of guesswork as to the note placements for the chord, but we'll see how this turns out here. That actually ended up being exactly what I wanted, which is lucky of me. So if it sounds bad, which the next one probably will, because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the next one. I know I'm going to go back up, but I'm not sure in what way I'm going to do that. So I didn't want to cover too much on music theory right now. We'll do that later when I start to do when I'm going to design a melody for this, and I'm probably going to do a break and a drop that are going to have each their own melody and lead. And just as a heads up, I am going to be doing an electro house track. I should have said that at the beginning. Hey, so we have people in the stream now. Yay! So there's people in the stream, and so if you guys have questions, feel free to ask whenever. I'm recording this right now, so that it's designed to be, you know, if you guys have questions in the stream, you could ask, but at the same time, it's going to be recorded, so everyone else can see this stuff as well. Your comments are not going to be recorded though for the actual video, so I'm gonna repeat them out loud, and that way we have kind of verbal recording there. So hey everybody. Okay, so let's see here. So let's try to just take this one. We'll duplicate it. I am holding Alt right here, and just to create a copy of the whole thing after I selected it. And we're gonna try moving these ones up. So I know I could put a note here, and I think I could put I could put a note here. So we'll try this. Sweet, so now we have a chord progression. Now, I started with the chord progression because I had inspiration for chords. That's kind of what I was looking for this track. Now, you might actually, when you want to start a track, you might find that you work better with having inspiration from for a bass line, a drop, or a melody. So there's a whole bunch of things you could choose. Primarily, I suggest kind of working off of a bass line, melody, drop, or chord progression. Those are my suggestions. The reason I say drop is because this kind of applies to a lot of EDM styles. Whenever you have a drop in an EDM track, whether it's you could do it in trance, actually you could do it in dubstep, you could do it in trap, you could do it in electro house, you could do it in a whole variety of styles. And my suggestion here is you kind of keep drops separate, because sometimes it can actually have a melody, other times it's a collection of a whole bunch of different sounds that sound very unique. And it really just depends on the style you're working for. So that's why I kind of did separate those. But there are different ways that you could start your track and different inspirations you could key off of. In this case, I am starting with a chord progression. And for those of you that are rather new to EDM production or working with music in general, chords are going to be the hardest thing for you to work out. So if you are really confused by how I chose the notes here, it's okay. That's going to be something that I strongly suggest you check out my series. I have a small music theory series, and I talk about building chords. And so if you check that out, you can learn a lot more about how chords are structured and how to actually build them. I'm not going to cover them in too much detail in these videos here, just because this is supposed to be more about designing a track from scratch. So we have our chord progression. Now, the first thing you'll notice is I said I was going to make an electro house track. And this electric piano doesn't really sound electro housey. So, if you listen to it again, the chord progression sounds good, but it doesn't sound like EDM in any stretch of the imagination. So what we're going to do here is we're going to load up a different synthesizer here, which is basically a virtual instrument. And we're going to get just a different sound coming out of it. So I'm going to pop open the library again, and we're going to be able to browse through some presets here using this. But first, let's see if we could swap this over to... We're going to do Alchemy for this one. Alchemy is probably the most complex one you could use, complex synthesizer that Logic has built in, but at the same time has a whole bunch of good presets that we're going to work off of. So... Okay, so we have, here we go. Roger Federer 99999. I think that's how you say it. I'm not sure. But he says, I have no music background and was able to buy Logic recently. I want to use EDM production as a hobby over the next few years. Do you think Logic is all I need to make solid tracks for now? My answer to that is 100% yes. If you actually, a lot of professional producers do use digital audio workstations like Logic, and I think I gotta say the most popular ones are Logic, Ableton, and FL Studio. From what I've seen, those are the most popular ones. Now, that said, there's a lot of extensions that you could get for these digital audio workstations. Like you can get external synthesizers. You'll see in a lot of my videos, I use one called SynthMaster. So you can get a whole bunch of other things, but just having Logic is more than enough to make a really good track. And that's what I'm going to show in this series, actually. I'm only going to use built-in stuff and free samples. So, like I said earlier in the video, you could get a whole bunch of free samples. Just click the video link in the description. That'll bring you to one of my videos where I just basically talk about some sample packs that I found. They're all free. You could use them in your productions, and I'm going to be using a whole bunch of those. That's the one thing that you can't rely on Logic for. It doesn't have a lot of built-in samples that are really good. So you kind of want to make sure that you have a decent library of samples when you go in to start adding drums and stuff. But by way of synthesizers, I would have said there are some ones you probably want to get for Logic when you just get started. Some free ones, that is. But with the addition of Alchemy to Logic, it now has a very good, solid synthesizer that sounds really nice. So... without further ado, you saw that all I did was hold this here to switch to Alchemy, and that gave us an instance of Alchemy that we could open up here and start going through some sounds. So what I want to go right now is I'm going to choose keys, I think. I think we'll go with keys for now. Maybe I'll switch to arpeggiated later. So we're going to start with keys. This is just kind of like different keyboard sounds that you'll hear. And you'll also notice that over here we now have a whole bunch of different tiers that we could drop into. And that's another way to go browse through presets. That's the reason I opened this library window with this button right here. So I'm gonna actually go through some of the presets here. So I selected keys. That's gonna filter out everything except for the keys, and we could kind of go through and listen to some of these. I'm gonna turn on the volume because some of these tend to be loud, and I don't want to blow out anybody's eardrums. So we're gonna just play this back and cycle through some of these. So we're actually going to go with this because I have an idea. And that's kind of the way a lot of my production works. I start with something, and then I kind of work an idea off of that. So we have this sort of sound here. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually add something that sounds like an arpeggio on top of it. What an arpeggio is basically, whoops, I didn't duplicate that. So I'm holding Alt to duplicate stuff whenever I click and drag. What an arpeggio is basically like a whole bunch of really fast notes that just kind of bounce around a chord, usually. So we're gonna move around some of these and key in an arpeggio here, and see what it sounds like. So what I wanted to do actually was more like, I think it was more like this. Let's try this. There we go. Okay, so you kind of see where this is starting to go here. So we have basically we have this one here that just kind of, and we could even expand this, I'm sure, with some of the alchemy options here. So if you look, yeah, we'll work with that. We'll start with that. And then we're going to do the same general idea, except we're going to move the notes around on this one. So we're going to copy this here by holding Alt. And then we're going to take all these and we're going to move these up to here. And move these ones up as well. Sounds weird. Sounds like something's mistimed. Yeah, something's not timed right. So one of the other things, as you could see, I like to do with this series is I like to not have too much planned beforehand, if anything, because I like to show you guys that I hit like road bumps too. And it's not just to say I hit road bumps too, but I could get over them. It's like, it's to kind of show you how I get around them. So you can see here, it sounds like there's a gap. Or actually, you could listen here. There sounds like there's a gap. So the problem we have here is that we kind of need we need the next one. If it's gonna sound right, we're gonna have to actually move it over here. But that'd be weird in terms of the music that we're doing. Ugh, that sounds very weird. So what we need to do is we need to figure out some way to fill up this gap. And one of the first things we should probably do, actually I'm realizing, is I need to turn up the tempo to 128 because that's what electro house is usually at. So electro house, progressive house, and stuff like that. So. There we go, that's what I wanted. So I moved these over one and then added just this random note here just to kind of push everything over a little bit more so that we got closer to this gap that we had that we needed to kind of fill up. So, and then we need to do the same thing here. So move this and then drop a note there. Whoops. There we go. And this kind of sounds like this. And then we need to do something with these ones. So we'll just do the same general pattern that we were doing before, which is bottom one there, top one here, middle one here, top one here, and then we had the bottom one here, I believe, and this one's gonna be right here, and then we have Bodo. I think that was it. And then we're gonna mix stuff up for the last one. So I'm just gonna copy this because it'll be easier. So we'll delete this here. The note is here and here. So we're gonna have to move these ones up to here and these ones up to here. So we'll copy that. Move that one up. Sorry about that. And these ones up to here, I believe. We'll try this because I want to mix up the last one because it kind of instead of just repeating the same sort of pattern that we've done this whole time, when I get to this fourth section here, you can see the 4. What I want to do is I want to change things up before it loops back because we're going to start looping this stuff. So that was close, but we need to change things up just a tiny bit to fix it. I think we need to move it back one. And then what we'll do is move this one over here and then add one note there. There we go. There we go. What are my opinions on DVBBS? I don't have a lot of opinions on artists actually. Just because I'm not too I don't pay too much attention to the artist. I listen to music, and when I hear a new song that I like, I listen to it, and if I sometimes I'll check out the artist, and if I like the artist, then I'll just listen to the stuff that I like from them. So as for I don't really have too many opinions on artists themselves, except for one artist, and that would be Gareth Emery. Just because I heard some of his tracks, I thought, my gosh, these are amazing, and then I started listening to more of his tracks, some of his older tracks, some of his newer tracks, and I'm just totally astounded by the quality of his tracks. So yeah, most artists I actually don't have an opinion on. I do listen to a whole bunch, a wide variety of artists, but at the same time, I don't have artist loyalties or part of the reason being because you never know when someone might have a ghost producer and you never know if, when there's like collaborations, who's doing most of the work, and how much of a collaboration it really is. So yeah, I don't really have any opinions on DVBPS. I mean, I've heard some of his tracks, and I like quite a few of them, but other ones I think they're kind of like a little too mainstream and standard, which is something that happens to a lot of artists. But at the same time, I don't feel that's always bad. So you guys going to gigs and stuff, I wish I could, but I have school and it sucks. Okay, so we have this, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of getting sick of this sound. So what we're going to do is we're going to find some different instruments to do this. I kind of like this one still. And one of the things I did do before that I didn't mention is whenever I want a new track, I will hit this button right here. It's the clone track, because what it does is it basically just gives me an exact copy of the track. I get another one and I could do something else in it. So I use that a lot, so much that I forget to mention it, because whenever I need a new track, instead of hitting new track, I usually just duplicate, because it retains all the stuff. Like if I add an EQ or something, or a distortion or compression, it kind of just makes things easier. So let's see. We're going to take this one. And like I said, I don't like the sound of this anymore. I'm kind of sick of this. One of the things is, if you get sick of a sound rather fast, then it's a good sign that it's not really that good. And if you could listen to it like 50 times and it still sounds cool, that means you've nailed it. Now, one of the other things is, if you listen to it and the first time you hear it, a chill goes down your spine, at least this is for me, that means that you really nailed it. And that's really hard to get. But when I listen for tracks, like a track goes onto my favorite tracks list if when I listen to it for the first time, like this chill goes down my spine. So it sounds kind of cliche and corny, but that's actually the way I kind of do sort some of my favorite tracks. So we're going to go through and find something a bit more interesting. We'll go and just what the heck. I like this a lot better. So we're going to work with this. We'll actually go through some of the, just slide this around here to listen to some of the variants of it. We'll leave it there for now. Hey, I remember your username. I'm starting to see people in the stream, for those of you that are watching the recording. I remember your username, but I don't remember who you are. It's hard when there's these people with usernames that are like have numbers in them and stuff. Yes, I remember you, but I don't remember who exactly you are. This sucks. I need to get better at remembering like everyone's usernames and stuff. Okay, so we have this. Now back with the pluck that we had. My real name are unsub. So I like this a bit better. It kind of unifies the vibe a bit nicer. So we have like this kind of sort of spacious sound. I apologize for the crackling. I'll try to get rid of this here. There's only one weird way to get rid of it, which is by doing like if I it's very strange. If your computer is like starting to go because it like can't process all the data for playback, then my suggestion is actually create a track that has nothing on it and is doing nothing, and then play it back. And magically it goes away. But if you go here, sometimes it'll start crackling again. So I think I want to try one thing really quick. So we have this area selected. I'm going to hit Control A. Actually, it's Command A. And starts with a D. Oh gosh, there's so many people though. So I hit Command A to select all of these, and then I'm going to hit Command Alt up. Wrong shortcut. Shift Alt up, and then it'll bring it up an octave. And what that just means, it makes it kind of like a higher pitch, but keeping the notes so that they sound right. Okay, so that sounds good. I do like that a bit better because it kind of sits out more. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to duplicate this one and the one on the top here that's our chord progression, and I'm going to duplicate it again. And this time we're going to find something that's a bit lower pitched. Actually, what we'll do to start this out is we'll select all these and do the same thing, Shift Alt, but we'll hit down this time to bring it down an octave. And then what we'll do is find something that sounds, I've soloed this, you could only hear this one, and we'll find something that sounds a bit more heavy, and this one's going to go in the background. I kind of like this one. We're gonna have to, I think we're gonna have to pitch this back up though. No, definitely not. Okay, so let's see how we could do this. I'm gonna take the bottom notes and shift them up. That just sounds a little weird for some reason. We'll try this again. I kind of like the sound that it has though. We'll stick with this. Okay, so so we have another question here. What are you studying in school? I am studying computer science and engineering, actually. So it's not music, as much as I'd like to do that. It's really hard to get into the music industry. So what you want to do is, my suggestion is have like a job and then have music as a hobby until you could actually like make it in the industry. That's my suggestion. I do actually know someone who I've been working with, and he's trying to put it all into music, and he's doing a very good job at that. And but personally, I kind of like, I want to have a backup job since I technically haven't made it in the industry yet. So I am studying computer science and engineering, and I love it almost as much as I like music. So okay, so we have this new sound here, and we're gonna put this underneath this one here. And if you notice, it really fills it out. That's what I was looking for. And now we're going to do something really quick here. I'm going to add a gain to the master channel strip. There's a couple reasons I do this. Right now I'm doing it actually because everything is so quiet. So I'm just going to make this an 8 here, and that's going to give us a boost of 8, so it'll make things a little louder. Okay, so that's a good start. I think I don't know. How far should we go? I'm tempted to cut the stream here and restart it back up so that we have a second video here. So actually, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna kill the stream really quick and start it back up again under a new title here. So we have a second section here just to kind of, so we could run this a little bit longer, but at the same time we have this broken down into another section. In the meantime, while I do this, guys, please feel free to throw questions down into the chat there, and I will answer them as soon as I get back from doing this. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back in a minute here. Okay, so unfortunately it didn't cut the stream, so that was just a waste of time there. But I did want to kind of fix my camera anyway. So now I'm not like looking like I'm in a pit of darkness. Okay, so back to where we were. What were we doing? It's only been 20 seconds and I've forgotten already. Okay, so first of all, we have a question. Have you ever tried headphones by Vmoda Crossfade LP for productions? Well, my honest suggestion here is I know some producers use the Vmoda M100s, I believe, for production, but I personally wouldn't go about that. My suggestion is, I mean, kind of obviously, I have these headphones that I'm wearing right now. They're the Biodynamic DT770s. I suggest these and the Audio-Technica ATH M50Xs. Those are my suggestions for headphones. I could give you a whole bunch of reasons as to why, but I'll just kind of leave those to some of my other videos that have talked about that. But those are my suggestions for production. I think they're actually cheaper than some of the Vmoda stuff as well. But yeah, Vmoda, I've heard the Vmoda M100s are really good for DJing because of the way that they sound, but I wouldn't particularly trust them for actually like production. Now you probably could do production on them. I wouldn't deny that, but at the same time, I feel that there are better options available. So we'll get back into this here. It's so chill watching it. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so I like this. I like the tone of this. It's working out. So that means what we could do is we could actually move forward with all of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these here and then just click and drag to loop this. We're going to do it probably, we'll do it 4 times for now. This is just the way things work. So in Electro House, if you don't know what to do, then my suggestion is have a chord progression of 4 bars, which you can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, maxing out at 8 bars. So if you really want to make it long, make it 8 bars. And then what you do is you just loop it a whole bunch of times and you develop it and change it as you move on. So we're going to start with just this simple sort of thing where we're looping all of these. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually add stuff and start moving stuff around. So the next thing we're going to do here, actually, let me save this. That'd probably be a good move before we lose anything. So we're going to name this actually, you know what? I'm just going to save it down. I have a folder for this. Here we go. Track from scratch. There we go. That'll make it easier for me to find when I'm going back into it. Okay, sweet. So next thing we're going to do here is we're going to add claps. And so this is where, sorry, I popped so open stuff without saying anything. This is where we're just going to get some claps here and do a whole bunch of stuff to them and make them sound like, the nice big progressive claps that you have going on that make the crowd want to clap. So, cool. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to answer this one question here. So first we're going to pop open the browser here, and then we're going to go to all files. Now this will drop you in your music folder by default where I have put samples. So this is the exact same as opening a folder here, going to music, and then just digging through stuff. So I'm going to just go to my samples, and we're actually going to, you know what? I am going to do this old school way. I'm delaying your math. Oh no. Yeah, is anybody watching this while they're supposed to be doing something else? Okay, so I'm actually gonna do this old school way. So I just opened up a new Finder here, and we're gonna go to Music, My Samples, and then I'm gonna actually go to this particular pack here. This is the What About the Productions. They have a free anniversary sample pack that has a whole bunch of sparse things. So you go to packs here, and you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of folders, but each of them probably only have like 10. I'm not gonna even respond to that, dude. So we have a whole bunch of packs here. Each of them have about 10 samples in them. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna search clap, and so we're gonna find some claps here. We're actually just gonna work with them. So we have, we'll start from the bottom just because. So we have claps. That was the wrong thing. Oh. I forgot there were some vocal samples in here as well when you search clap. Okay. So here we go. Wait. Okay. IGN hired a black guy? What the heck? What kind of username is that? Okay. All these people these days. Okay, so I'm going to grab this one. So I'm just going to drag it into the project. And the way I have this set up, I'll show you guys in a second here. It actually copies the samples to my project. So if you go to save here, it says copy the following files into your project. I have it so it copies audio files and makes a duplicate in my project. So if I ever move my project to a different computer, they're there. And that just makes things easier for me. So so we're going to cancel that. And so now we have this clap here. Now, I have to say, a lot of people will really get ticked off when people use loops and stuff. But I think loops are fine for a few purposes. I don't mind drum loops. That's one of them. And then the other loop, no, it's just drum loops. I was going to say clap loops I use, and then hat loops I use. But those are kind of collectively drum loops. So after you're done with the intro, progressive drop. Yes, this is going to have a progressive drop. Yes. Yes, to answer that question. Okay, so I wanted to answer another question. Have you ever made any tracks with drops in a big room style? Yes, I have, and those are on my SoundCloud. You can find me soundcloud.com/mannequin. And I think there's actually one that I did with I did a collaboration that I'm still waiting. We're gonna actually release it rather soon here. Me and the person that did the collaboration with Crybating, and we're actually we did. It's very electro-y, and it has a big room drop for sure. I have done some big room tracks, but not too many, because my natural style is not big room. I can't. It's very difficult for me to make really cool big room stuff. But progressive is actually kind of a lot more natural for me to make. So yeah. Okay, take a normal clap, add reverb. Yes, you could do that. It's just I didn't want to spend a lot of time mix and matching reverb here. So we're going to actually drop this sample in here that we had, and then we're going to loop it as well, but we're actually not going to loop the whole thing. We're going to do it this long, but we're going to move it over here. So it kind of goes like this. We're going to turn this down really quick too. So this clap isn't fitting. It might sound okay for some of you guys that are new. You might think, oh, that clap's fine. Actually, it's not. Let's see if I can find just a raw clap that I want. I'll do it the old school way. Almost. What's wrong with the clap? Good question. So I said it was wrong. Why did I say it was wrong? That'd be a very good question to answer here. Okay, so if you listen, it sounds very like it has a sort of sizzle to it. So it's like in the high end if you listen. And it makes it sound awkward. It disconnects from the rest of the track because if you listen to the rest of the track, it's very mellow. And what I could do is I could EQ this. I'll actually show you guys. I could EQ this to kind of work with it. So I'll just cut some of the high end. So you hear that? That's the part that's bugging me the most right now. That kind of hiss that you have there. So I'm actually gonna. That's the reason I'm wanting to switch this here, and I'm gonna see if I could find. I think there was one down here that was okay. This one would actually work okay. So we're going to use this. It doesn't have a lot of reverb, but that's fine. We're going to add reverb ourselves. And then we're going to delete you. Go away. And so we're going to move you over here and do this. We'll just cycle this area right here just by dragging up at the top. And okay, so we'll listen to this and we'll see. This doesn't have much reverb, so it'll sound kind of awkward, but we'll add reverb to it and it'll sound a lot better. Yeah, this clap works a lot better than the other one. It does have too much high end because of the way that I've designed the track so far. So I can filter this out, but it'll sound a lot better when I filter it out. So it just gets rid of a little bit of that high end that I do want to try to take out. So, so we have that. Now for the fun part. Now this is one of the hardest things that I found in EDM production. It's getting a good reverb on a clap. That's actually it's one of the hardest things for me to do. Now there are some tricks that I use, but first of all we'll start and we'll just try to find a good reverb. So we're gonna go to Space Designer here, and this is just a beautiful reverb. So if you don't know what reverb is, it's this. Of course you can't hear it. Okay, we'll try this again. So this is without reverb. This is with reverb. So you kind of got the idea. So what we're going to do here is cycle through some of them. And I'm not sure which ones. I think I'm going to need a medium one. These are the length of the reverb, by the way. So large have long length, medium have medium length, small have very short length. So we're going to try to find some interesting ones here and bounce through them, see what they sound like. The piano one actually sounds okay, as weird as it sounds. Like we're using a piano reverb on a clap. Weird, but I mean, it's actually sounding good right now. So we'll keep that one in mind and move on. So you might have noticed I'm skipping by some ones that sound good, and that's because what I need to find one that actually doesn't have too much high end. So I'll show you an example one with too much high end here. Yeah, that was good. It just has too much high end, so it sounds like way too noisy. And while you're looking for like a blend between noisy and boomy almost. So This is a really good one, actually. This one's working really, really nicely. So you notice it has high end, but it doesn't sound like it's a lot of just going on. It sounds like it's actually following the clap, and then you have enough of the body where it fills it out. So we are going to do some EQing to this probably, but I think this is a good one to start with. I'm going to check, just go a few more beyond this just to make sure that I'm sure that I want this one though. Yeah, we definitely want to go here to, which one was it? Smaller bright? Okay, now we're going to EQ this a bit, just because if you look here, right around there, you hear that really sort of sound that we don't want from a snare drum. So we're going to cut this just a little bit. It just gets rid of some of that extra muddy disgustingness that we don't really need in our snare, so so that it doesn't show up in the reverb. Okay, so I probably bounced around a little bit. I'm hoping some of you guys are just catching all of what I'm doing here. If you could always go back, and if you miss something that I do, like when I clicked over to EQ here, if you missed that and then you notice I enabled and disabled this without mentioning what that was. But you should be able to see what I'm doing and try to create correlations there. So sorry for those of you that I'm going a little bit fast. It's just this is a style I'm kind of used to from doing my remixing from scratch series. So it's going to be very similar to that, but hopefully I can slow down a bit here and explain a bit more. So we have this. This is actually pretty good. So we'll listen to it in terms of the track and see what we need to do. So there's one part that's bugging me. There's this kind of, I'm going to drop an EQ on top of this here so we can hear it. But there's this weird kind of like whining part going on. That, and if that's painful, there's a good reason for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the reverb, and we're going to get rid of that sort of, that sound that we don't really want to show up in the reverb. So... So you notice I made this peak so I could really find where the exact part is. Now what I'm going to do is, since I think I found it, I'm going to cut it. And if I didn't find it, then we're going to actually have to redo that here. So you'll notice when I cut it, it now sounds really weird. And that's because it's so thin. So I need to widen this back out. There we go. That's pretty good. So we'll leave it at that for now, for this one. I might do more to this later, but I'll try to keep it simple. So, okay. So now we'll just listen to this really quick so I can kind of get into the groove of what we're going to need to do next. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what we're going to need to do next is, first we're actually going to fix the claps up just a little bit. There's going to be one small thing I'm going to do. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add another synthesizer that's going to be probably playing the same thing as this track right here. If you, let me solo it. It's going to be playing the same thing, but it's going to have a very different sound. So we're going to try to do that here. But first, I want to drop another EQ on. Now, this will bring up a question for some of you guys that haven't heard my spiel on this. Is it okay to have multiple EQs, multiple compressors, and everything like that? My answer to that is actually rather simple. Yes, it is okay, but only if you know why you're doing it. So I have this first EQ here that cuts off some of the high end of the snare, and then we have the reverb. Now I'm doing another EQ here because I want to do a certain type of cut that is not actually available in this, but I want to do it to both the clap and the reverb. I might have said snare before. I apologize if I did. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a cut here for the low end, and we're going to slide this up. We're going to solo the claps and slide this up. That was to give you an idea of what that does in case you're unaware. And now what we're going to do is we're going to slide this down to exactly where I want it. This is about the right spot. Now, if you listen, I'm gonna enable it and disable it with this, and listen for the low end, what's the bass area, and pay attention to what sound is gonna change. Because if you think about it, for a clap, we really don't need that. That's like what our kick drum is going to be doing. So there's no real need for that. So we're just going to cut it out. And this is something that we do a lot in production, and it's basically trim out whatever you don't need. And it's like less is more is so true in terms of production. Because if you do a lot of stuff that is okay, it ends up just being a mess in the end. But if you do very few things that are amazing, then you end up with a beautiful track. A great example of this is Prayer in C, I believe. I think that's what it is. Is it Prayer in D or Prayer in C? I think it's Prayer in C. Prayer in... What is it? Yeah, Prayer in C, Robin Schultz remix, I believe. And this is just it's just a really beautiful mix, and it's very minimal. So I strongly suggest you check that out if you're wondering what I mean by less is more, and how important that really is. So okay, so we have our claps here. Yeah, I think I said less is more, right? Yeah, okay. Hopefully I should have. I was trying to say, yeah, less is more. But, I mean, either way, yeah. More is less, less is more. That's both true, I mean. Because if you have more is less, then that means that when you put a whole bunch of stuff in, then it doesn't end up being all that great. So, either way, it's actually, yeah. It's true both ways. But, so just make sure you don't throw in tons of stuff and not know what you're doing with it. So, so because I did 2 EQs here, and they're doing very simple things if you think about it. It's the whole idea is, you know, as long as you know what you're doing, it's okay to add more. Just don't add more for the sake of adding more and hoping that it'll sound better. That's one of the things that I did when I was starting, and one of the things I've seen a lot of other people do when they're relatively new. They just pile stuff on because they know, oh, I need to fix this, I need to fix this, I need to fix this. But they don't have like a whole plan for what they're going to be doing. With the track as a whole. And then so when you have like the claps here, I kind of knew what I was doing each step, and I wasn't like saying, well, it doesn't sound right, so let me add something else. Like if it sounded bad after I did this, then you know the next step isn't to add like a compressor to it just to make it sound better. The next step is to figure out what the source of the problem is and fix that problem at the source if you can. So sometimes that source is the sample, sometimes it's the reverb, sometimes it's the first EQ you put on, sometimes it's something else. So just kind of try to always find the source of the issue, and then you could fix that. So yeah, it should be less is more. Yeah, because as long as you know what you're doing, feel free to add as much as you want, but don't just add stuff and hope that it makes it sound better, because when you do that, it really starts to ruin a track really fast. So we have this. Now, next step is we're going to duplicate this one, like I said before. I duplicate a lot of stuff, and then we're going to put it right here, just for the sake of simplicity. And this is going to be probably the last thing we do today, just because I don't want to run this stream for like 3 hours. And for future reference, My streams are going to be on Tuesday. I have not quite decided what time it's going to be. I should actually look at my schedule to kind of tell you guys, but let's see. I think typically my schedule should usually so I'm probably going to stream Tuesdays at around 2:15. So that's what my schedule is going to be, 2:15 Pacific time, which is basically it'd be an hour and 15 minutes away from now. So that's when I'll normally stream, just because that's with my school schedule and all, that's the way it's going to work best. So we have 2 of these now, which doesn't really help us all that much. So we're going to take this one here, and I'm going to cycle this so that we could just listen to that on loop. And we're going to find something a bit more interesting. Hey, how's it going, Train? Everything's going good on my end. So yeah, Train's one of my big buddies here. He gives a lot of helpful advice around the channel, and so I got to say thank you to that. Cool. Wow, we have like 8 people in the stream. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to get a lead now. Go away from keys and go actually get a lead. So now everything here is going to sound a lot buzzier for the most part. So if you listen, that was a perfect example. So actually we go through some of these because this might be something cool to use. I actually really like this for some reason. So, let's see here. Let's listen to this in the track, see how it sounds. Okay, I kind of want to listen to this without it and then with it, so we'll do this. Whoops. Drag it out. Okay, so this is a bit too dull sounding, actually, and I don't mean dull as in like it's a boring synth. I mean dull as in it doesn't have, it doesn't stand out among the other things. So cycle this section again. Oh, I'm sorry about that. You know, I like this. We're keeping this. So it does sound a little bit off, and the reason being, yes, we're gonna add a bass eventually, but I'm not sure what I want to do because there's a whole bunch of options we could do for basses. I'll probably do that in the next stream, but I haven't quite decided which one I want to take because I could do like a long, powerful bass, or I could do a very rhythmic bass, or I could do a groovy bass. And I haven't decided which one I want. So we're going to stick with this for now. Like I said, this is going to be the last thing we're going to do before we wrap up here. So, well, the one thing you could probably notice about this is it doesn't fit the rest of the track because it kind of sounds like it's sitting on top of everything. And the answer is because it doesn't have any reverb. Actually, it does have some reverb. It's going to the default reverb here, which I haven't done anything with. It's just kind of sitting there. So what we're going to do is actually we're going to send it to this reverb. We're just going to increase the amount, and then we're going to switch through these reverbs here and figure out which one we want to use. Screw it. That's a good one. that one just fits this one so perfectly, so we're just gonna keep it. Most of the time, I would actually go through and find a different one, but this one actually just happens because of the way the synth is. It just happens to work. So lucky us. But later on, I'm sure when we go into the progressive drop, it's gonna be we're gonna actually have to find a different one, because this is it's a very smooth sounding reverb, a smooth and calm sounding reverb, which works for this lead, but it's not gonna work for some of the other things. So so we have, this is kind of what we have now. We're just gonna play it back because what the heck. And then if you guys want to go ahead and load up questions while we're playing this back, if you have any questions before I take off here. And then the next time we're going to work on the bass line. I'll write that down so I remember. But that is going to be Tuesday at 2:15 Pacific time next week, hopefully. Unless something comes up, which hopefully it won't, but you guys should be able to remember that. I'll try to announce that I'm streaming before I end up streaming. But I may forget, and I may just like say it like 5 minutes before I start streaming. So anyway, load up questions, and as I play this back here, and then I'll get back to them as soon as I finish playing this. So here we go. So it's really short. We haven't done too much with it, but okay, let's see if we can answer some of the questions here. Okay, so what style of music are you going for? This is going to be a progressive house track. Actually, I said it was going to be electro house when I started, but this tone is so much better suited for progressive house. Okay, so what plugin am I using? So all the plugins here are ones that you have built in, and Alchemy is included with Logic. And it was actually available for other digital audio workstations a while ago, but Apple bought out the company that made it, and I don't think you could get it anymore. So, yeah, that's actually great plug there. So we have basically this is the one that's included. It is it's kind of like a mix between a synthesizer and a sampler, and is by far the most powerful synthesizer that Logic has in it. So so this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to try to do a lot of stuff in. We're going to actually design some inside of Alchemy later. And then we also have some other ones here that you could actually see. We have ES2 is the one that I use a lot often when I'm doing just stuff. And then also EXS24. But for the most part, like I said, these are in Alchemy, 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 and Alchemy. We're going to use a lot of Alchemy because it is the most powerful one. And that's just an electric piano for the sake of the fact that my computer performs slow sometimes, and I have to have that there. So just ignore that track at the bottom. Okay, so yeah, the style of music, like I said, is going to be progressive house, and so is actually kind of like I'm starting to get this tone. I need to write this down. I'm going to write a note here. So we're going to do bass line next, and style. Okay, so I'm hearing some, like in what I'm doing right now, I'm hearing some stuff that's kind of W&W style. And so I really want to kind of play that out in a more of a sense. And what I say by W&W style is sometimes they have something that's a mix between very happy and very epic, and it's a very interesting contrast. So I want to try to create a similar contrast. While not replicating their style, I am taking some hints from some of the stylistic things they do in their tone, and I'm going to be implementing some similar things. So, and you could probably hear that most in this Vox box lead that we were listening to before. So that's going to be there. And how you buy all of your plugins. So the question is, I'm not sure if you're asking how did I buy all of my plugins or why do I buy all my plugins, but I do buy all my plugins. I don't pirate anything because there's a couple reasons I could say, but personally I just don't like the idea that much. And I will admit that I did download some stuff before, but I have since decided that all of the stuff that I'm going to be using is going to be 100% legal, and I paid for it completely. And just it's just the way I want to work, and it's partially because I'm a software engineer as well, and you know, I kind of feel, you know, what those people are experiencing when you just go and pirate the software. So I don't like to buy stuff full price. That even though I do buy all my stuff. And so what I did is actually for Logic, this is a great suggestion for those of you that haven't bought Logic yet. Wait for iTunes gift cards to go on sale. And then buy the sale iTunes gift cards, plug them in, and then buy Logic. I happened to get Logic Pro for, I think it was like $160 because of this. So I saved $40 on Logic itself because I did that. Additionally, the only other plugin I've bought, which is KV331 Audio's SynthMaster. That's actually SynthMaster Effect. But SynthMaster is, oh, that's right. SynthMaster is usually right here for me. Okay, so SynthMaster, and I'll pop it open just on this electric piano here so you can see it. It's actually on sale right now. Hey, Christian, what's up, dude? I'm actually ending the stream right now. So this is SynthMaster. It is on sale right now. So you could get it for less than $50, I believe. The whole thing here, full power. This synth is gorgeous. It is on sale right now. I strongly suggest you pick it up. If you want another synthesizer and you're looking into like massive or silent, it's on sale right now. It's $50, less than $50. And so it's a great one to pick up for those of you that are looking for something. And it's really cheap and it sounds gorgeous. I'll tell you that right now. I won't go through all of it right now. I'm not going to use it in this series because I want this to be approachable for everybody, but it's great. So yeah, you're late, unfortunately. I'm actually just wrapping this up, but I do have, I will once again reiterate the times for the next stream. Without further ado, also additionally, I do want to mention, the cool thing about KV331 Audio is they update their software very often, and also they have a student discount. So if you qualify as a student, just send them like your student ID or your academic transcript, and they will give you a student discount. And I think I ended up getting this for like $30. And for a synthesizer that sounds like this synthesizer, that's insane. It sounds, basically it's on the sound quality of silent, but it has the power of massive. That's how I like to describe it. So it's a great first synthesizer. For the one person that was asking before at the beginning of the stream, if you need to buy anything else other than Logic, if I had to say one thing to buy other than Logic when you start to get into production, that would be this synthesizer. It is probably the first thing you want to buy, and then from there, sometimes you might want to buy samples. Sometimes you might want to get other synthesizers. But for the most part, if you have Logic and SynthMaster, you can make some amazing stuff. The built-in synthesizers in Logic, like Alchemy, are pretty good, but sometimes, you can kind of feel a little stale. So anyway, once again, to reiterate, the next stream is going to be officially 2:15 Pacific time next week on Tuesday. So it's going to be Tuesday just because that's the way things work out. I might stream more often. I'll play it again before I leave. I might stream more often once I get on winter break, but for now we'll just kind of say Tuesday's what it's going to be at 2 o'clock Pacific time, 2:15 actually, because I need a little bit of time to grab lunch before I start the stream. Okay, so we'll play this one more time and then we're going to wrap this stream up. So here you go. Oops, clicking all the wrong things. Okay. And next step is going to be the bass line. So thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to ask me questions on all my videos. Like I said, I have a whole bunch of other videos you can check out and learn a whole bunch of stuff about Logic Pro and FL Studio. I'm starting an FL Studio series. But feel free to ask me questions anywhere on the channel, and I will usually answer you within a week. If I don't, it's because you had a more complicated question that I wanted to do a long answer on, and I procrastinated, and then I might have forgotten. So apologies if that happens, but I try to respond as quickly as possible. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you all next week.